Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Perhaps you've had a long day, or maybe you're someone who likes drifting off to the sound of gentle explorations through nature's most remarkable places. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. Tonight, we're stepping into the green cathedral of our planet, into forests so dense with life that every breath of air seems to hum with possibility. We're journeying through rainforests, those emerald worlds where more than half of Earth's species make their home, where the air itself drips with moisture, and the canopy above blocks out the sky in a tangle of leaves and light. Before we begin our gentle walk through these ancient forests, if these calm explorations help you unwind or give you a peaceful way to end your day, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps others discover these quiet journeys too, one sleepy explorer at a time. So settle in, let your breathing slow, feel the weight leave your shoulders. Because tonight, we're not just learning about rainforests. We're standing beneath their towering trees, listening to the chorus of insects and birds, feeling the warm, humid air against our skin and discovering why these places hold such power over our imagination and such importance for our world. From the tallest emergent trees that pierce the clouds to the hidden fungi threading through the soil, from jaguars prowling in shadow to orchids blooming in impossible places, we'll explore it all. Some of what you hear may surprise you. Much of it will remind you how interconnected every living thing truly is. Now, let's begin our journey into the breathing wilderness. The living architecture. Imagine standing at the edge of a rainforest. Before you stretches a wall of green so dense it seems almost solid. But this is no simple wall. It's a cathedral, a skyscraper, an entire city rising up in layers, each one hosting its own unique community of life. Rainforests are architects of the natural world, building structures more complex than anything humans have designed, and they've been perfecting this architecture for millions upon millions of years. At the very top, breaking through the canopy like islands in a green sea, stand the emergent trees. These are the giants, the titans of the forest, reaching heights of 45 to 55 meters, though some exceptional individuals stretch even further, touching 70 or 80 meters into the sky. Up here, conditions are harsh. The sun beats down without mercy. Winds that would never reach the forest floor howl and buffet these lonely sentinels. The emergent layer is a place of extremes, and only the strongest, most adaptable trees can survive here. Their crowns are broad and flattened, designed to catch every photon of sunlight, while resisting the constant push and pull of the wind. These trees have evolved remarkable adaptations. Many have buttress roots, those dramatic flanges that spread out from the trunk like the flying buttresses of a Gothic cathedral, anchoring them against winds that could topple lesser trees. Some buttress roots extend 10 meters or more from the trunk, creating hidden alcoves and channels in the forest floor where water collects and small creatures shelter. The trees themselves often have smooth bark to discourage climbing plants from smothering them. Their seeds are frequently designed for wind dispersal, equipped with wings or parachutes that catch the strong currents high above the forest. The animals that live in the emergent layer must be capable flyers or exceptional climbers. Harpy eagles, some of the largest and most powerful raptors on Earth, nest in the crowns of emergent trees. From these lofty perches, they survey the canopy below, watching for monkeys and sloths moving through the branches. Butterflies dance in the sunlight. Bats emerge at dusk to feed on insects drawn by the flowering trees. It's a realm of extremes, beautiful and brutal in equal measure. Beneath the emergent layer lies the canopy, and this is where the rainforest truly comes alive. The canopy is formed by the crowns of trees typically reaching 30 to 45 meters in height, their branches interlocking to create a dense, continuous ceiling of vegetation. This layer receives the majority of the sunlight that enters the forest, and in response, it explodes with life. Scientists estimate that the canopy contains more species than any other layer of the rainforest. Indeed, some researchers believe that up to 90% of rainforest life exists in the canopy rather than on the ground. Walking through a rainforest, you might be surprised by how relatively quiet the forest floor seems. But if you could somehow transport yourself to the canopy, you'd be overwhelmed by noise. Howler monkeys bellow their territorial calls, a sound so loud it can be heard for miles. Scarlet macaws screech as they crack open nuts with their powerful beaks. Insects create a constant background hum, a symphony of clicks, buzzes, and chirps. The canopy is the marketplace of the rainforest, the main street where most transactions of life and death occur. The trees of the canopy layer compete fiercely for light. Their crowns spread wide, trying to maximize their exposure to the sun while simultaneously blocking light from reaching their competitors below. This competition has driven extraordinary adaptations. Some trees produce chemicals that inhibit the growth of nearby seedlings. Others grow remarkably quickly, racing to claim a spot in the canopy before other trees close the gap. Many have evolved relationships with specific animals, offering nectar or fruit in exchange for pollination or seed dispersal services. But the canopy isn't just trees. It's a garden in the sky. Epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants without parasitizing them, festoon every available surface. Orchids cling to branches with specialized roots that absorb moisture from the air. Bromeliads create tiny pools of water in their central cups, and these pools become miniature ecosystems in themselves, hosting frogs, insects, insect larvae, and even small crabs. Ferns unfurl from the crooks of branches. Lichens and mosses blanket the bark. The weight of all these extra passengers can be tremendous. A single large tree might support thousands of kilograms of epiphytes, each one drawing its nutrients from rain, dust, and decomposing organic matter that collects in the canopy. The animals of the canopy have evolved to live their entire lives without ever touching the ground. Spider monkeys swing through the branches using their prehensile tails as a fifth limb. Three-toed sloths move in ultra-slow motion. Their metabolism's so reduced that they only need to eat a few leaves per day. Their fur hosts entire ecosystems of algae and insects, providing camouflage and possibly even nutrition. Poison dart frogs, brilliantly colored in warning hues of red, blue, yellow, and orange, complete their entire life cycles in the water-filled cups of bromeliads high above the forest floor. These frogs are so toxic that indigenous peoples used their skin secretions to poison blow darts, hence their name. Yet they acquire this toxicity from their diet of specific insects, which in turn get toxic compounds from the plants they eat. Remove the frog from the rainforest, feed it a different diet, and it loses its poison. Everything is connected. Below the canopy lies the understory, a realm of filtered, dappled light where only about 5 to 15% of the sunlight that hits the canopy manages to penetrate. This is a world of shadows and waiting. Young trees grow here, biding their time, waiting for a gap to open in the canopy above. Some species are adapted to this low-light environment and will live their entire lives in the understory. They have evolved enormous leaves to capture as much of the limited light as possible. Some leaves are so large you could use them as umbrellas, measuring over 1 meter across. The understory is where you'll find many of the rainforest's most spectacular flowering plants. Because light is scarce, understory plants often invest heavily in large, showy flowers to attract the pollinators they need. The flowers must be visible in the gloom, so many are brightly colored or white. Some emit powerful fragrances to advertise their presence. Others have evolved to bloom at night, attracting bats and moths rather than competing for the attention of day-flying pollinators. This layer is home to jaguars padding silently along game trails, their spotted coats providing perfect camouflage in the dappled light. Tuppers browse on the vegetation, their prehensile snouts allowing them to grasp and pull down branches. Snakes drape themselves over branches, waiting motionless for hours until an unwary bird or rodent comes within striking distance. Countless species of insects go about their business, from leafcutter ants marching in columns along the forest floor to katydids perfectly camouflaged to look like leaves or bark or thorns. Finally, we reach the forest floor, the foundation of the entire structure. Here, in the dim light that filters down from far above, the work of decomposition proceeds at an astonishing pace. In a temperate forest, a fallen leaf might take months or even a year to break down. In a tropical rainforest, it can disappear in a matter of weeks. An army of decomposers, fungi, bacteria, termites, millipedes, and countless other organisms attacks every scrap of organic matter almost as soon as it falls. This rapid recycling is crucial because, paradoxically, rainforest soils are often quite poor in nutrients. The forest floor is covered not with a thick layer of rich humus like you might find in a temperate forest, but with a relatively thin layer of rapidly decomposing leaf litter. Beneath this lies soil that is often acidic and heavily leached by the constant rain. Nearly 70% of tropical rainforests grow on poor, acidic soils. The secret to the rainforest's incredible productivity lies not in the soil, but in the speed of nutrient cycling. Nutrients are locked up in the living biomass of the forest, in the trees, the plants, the animals, and the fungi. When something dies, it's quickly broken down and its nutrients are immediately reabsorbed by the living forest. Very little is lost. Walk across the forest floor, and you'll notice it's relatively open compared to the tangles of vegetation above. That's because so little light reaches down here that few plants can photosynthesize effectively. Instead, you'll see saplings waiting for their chance, ferns adapted to deep shade, and fungi everywhere. Some fungi glow with a faint bioluminescence, creating an eerie, otherworldly light in the darkness. Others grow in spectacular forms. Shelf fungi the size of dinner plates, delicate coral-like structures, or enormous puffballs that release clouds of spores when disturbed. The floor is where you'll encounter some of the rainforest's most remarkable large animals. Toppers, peccaries, and agouti forage for fallen fruit. Army ants march in columns hundreds of thousands strong, overwhelming any creature too slow to escape their path. Leaf litter frogs, tiny and perfectly camouflaged, hunt for insects among the dead leaves. And if you're exceptionally lucky, you might glimpse one of the rainforest's apex predators, a jaguar, an ocelot, or a clouded leopard, moving like liquid shadow through the undergrowth. This layered structure, this vertical stratification, is one of the keys to understanding why rainforests are so biodiverse. Each layer provides different conditions, different opportunities, different niches. And species have evolved to exploit every single one of these niches with exquisite precision. The heartbeat of biodiversity. Rainforests cover less than 6% of Earth's land surface, yet they contain somewhere between 40 and 75% of all living species on the planet. These numbers are so staggering they're difficult to truly comprehend. In a single hectare of tropical rainforest, you might find more than 480 different species of trees. That same hectare might host 42,000 different species of insects, 1,500 species of higher plants, and countless species of fungi, bacteria, and other microorganisms. By comparison, all of Europe contains only about 25 species of trees across its entire landmass. Why are rainforests so extraordinarily diverse? The answer lies in a combination of factors that have been working together for millions of years. First, there's climate stability. Tropical rainforests experience warm temperatures and high rainfall throughout the entire year. There's no winter dormancy, no dry season that forces life to pause and wait. The growing season is 12 months long, every single year. This constancy means that species can specialize in remarkably narrow niches. A tree might flower for only 2 weeks each year, but if those 2 weeks come at the same time every year, pollinators can evolve to depend on that tree, timing their own life cycles to match. In temperate regions, where seasons change dramatically, such extreme specialization would be impossible. Second, there's time. Tropical rainforests are ancient, while temperate forests in North America and Europe were repeatedly wiped clean by ice ages. Tropical rainforests persisted, evolving and diversifying for hundreds of millions of years without major interruption. This deep time has allowed for the evolution of extraordinarily complex relationships between species. Consider the fig tree and its wasp. Every species of fig tree has its own species of wasp that pollinates it and nothing else. The female wasp crawls into the fig through a tiny opening, deposits her eggs, pollinates the flowers, and dies inside. Her offspring hatch, mate inside the fig, and then the females fly off to find new figs to pollinate, carrying pollen from their birth fig. This relationship is so specific, so intricate, that it could only have evolved over immense spans of time. Third, there's the structure we just explored. The layered architecture of the rainforest creates countless different microhabitats, each with its own conditions of light, temperature, and humidity. A frog, living in a bromeliad 50 meters up in the canopy, experiences a completely different environment from a frog living on the forest floor, even though they're separated by only 50 meters of space. This vertical stratification effectively multiplies the available habitat, allowing more species to coexist. But perhaps most importantly, there is specialization. In temperate forests, many species are generalists. A deer might eat dozens of different plant species. A bird might nest in various types of trees. But in rainforests, species tend to be specialists. A particular species of butterfly might only lay its eggs on one species of plant. A bird might only eat fruit from a specific type of tree. A fungus might only grow in association with one species of tree root. This extreme specialization means that many species can coexist without directly competing with each other. They're each using different, non-overlapping resources. Consider the army ants of Central and South America. These ants don't build permanent nests. Instead, the colony itself becomes a nest, with workers linking their bodies together to form a living structure that protects the queen and larvae. The colony moves through the forest in regular cycles, foraging intensively in an area for a few weeks, then moving on. More than 300 species of animals have evolved to follow these army ant raids. Some are ant-following birds that snatch up insects fleeing from the advancing ant column. Others are butterflies that feed on the droppings of these birds. Still others are mites that ride on the ants themselves, hopping off to parasitize other insects. The army ants have created an entire ecosystem, a community of specialists that exists nowhere else. Or consider the strangler fig, one of the rainforest's most remarkable plants. A strangler fig begins its life high in the canopy when a bird deposits its seeds in a fork of a branch. The seed germinates in the small amount of soil and organic matter that's collected there, sending roots down toward the ground and a shoot up toward the light. Over years and decades, the roots grow thicker, wrapping around the trunk of the host tree like a net. Eventually, the roots reach the ground and tap into the soil's nutrients. The fig grows more vigorously, its roots fusing together to form a lattice around the host tree. Eventually, the host tree is completely encased and starved of light. It dies and rots away, leaving the strangler fig standing as a hollow cylinder of interwoven roots. This strategy allows the fig to skip the difficult understory stage and establish itself directly in the canopy. But it only works because the rainforest has the structure to support it. The biodiversity of rainforests isn't just impressive from a biological standpoint. It has profound implications for everything from medicine to climate regulation. More than 60% of anti-cancer drugs originate from natural sources, with many coming from rainforest plants. Compounds from rainforest organisms are already used to treat malaria, heart disease, bronchitis, hypertension, rheumatism, diabetes, muscle tension, arthritis, glaucoma, dysentery, and tuberculosis. And we've only scratched the surface. It's estimated that only 1% of rainforest plants have been tested for their medicinal properties. The remaining 99% might hold cures for diseases we currently can't treat. Every time we lose a hectare of rainforest, we lose not just trees and animals, but potential medicines, compounds that might have saved lives. But the biodiversity runs deeper than what we can see. In a handful of rainforest soil, there might be more species of bacteria and fungi than we could catalog in a lifetime of work. These microscopic organisms are doing the crucial work of decomposition, nutrient cycling, and forming symbiotic relationships with plant roots. They're the invisible foundation upon which the entire forest stands. One of the most fascinating discoveries of recent decades has been the extent of mycorrhizal networks in rainforests. These are partnerships between fungi and plant roots. The fungi extend the reach of the plant's root system dramatically, allowing the plant to access nutrients and water from a much larger area. In exchange, the plant provides the fungi with sugars produced through photosynthesis. But it goes further than a simple two-way partnership. The mycorrhizal networks connect multiple plants together, creating what some researchers call a wood wide web. Through these networks, trees can actually share resources. A large tree in the sun might transfer some of its excess sugars to smaller trees growing in its shade. Trees can send warning signals through the network, alerting nearby trees to insect attacks so they can ramp up their chemical defenses. Some trees even seem to recognize their offspring through these networks and preferentially share resources with them. This interconnectedness is one of the reasons why rainforest fragmentation is so devastating. Break the rainforest into small pieces, isolate these pieces from each other, and you don't just lose a certain percentage of habitat. You break the networks, sever the connections, disrupt the relationships that have evolved over millions of years. Studies have shown that when you fragment a rainforest, you don't lose species proportionally. You lose them at a much faster rate. A fragment that contains 50% of the original forest area might lose 70 or 80% of its species over time. The whole is much more than the sum of its parts. The water makers. Rainforests don't just receive rain, they create it. This might seem counterintuitive. We think of rain as something that comes from clouds formed over the ocean, driven inland by prevailing winds. And certainly, that's part of the story. But in rainforests, something remarkable happens. The rain that falls doesn't simply drain away into rivers and eventually back to the sea. Instead, a huge proportion of it is recycled right back into the atmosphere through a process called evapotranspiration. Here's how it works. Trees draw water up from the soil through their roots. This water travels up through the trunk and into the leaves. In the leaves, tiny pores called stomata open to take in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. When these pores open, water vapor escapes, a process called transpiration. On a hot day, a single large rainforest tree can transpire hundreds of liters of water into the atmosphere. Multiply this by the hundreds of billions of trees in a rainforest, and you begin to understand the scale of this process. In the Amazon rainforest, which is the world's largest tropical rainforest, somewhere between 50 and 80% of the moisture remains in the ecosystem's water cycle. Rain falls. Trees absorb it and then transpire it back into the atmosphere. This moisture forms clouds. The clouds produce rain. The rain falls back onto the forest. The cycle continues. The Amazon essentially creates its own weather, generating much of the rainfall it receives. This has profound implications. The moisture transpired by the Amazon doesn't just fall back on the Amazon, it's carried by winds across the continent. Cities thousands of kilometers from the rainforest depend on rain that originated as transpiration from rainforest trees. Agricultural regions that grow the food that feeds the world rely on rainfall patterns influenced by distant rainforests. Remove the rainforest, and you don't just lose trees. You alter rainfall patterns across an entire continent. Computer models have explored what would happen if the Amazon rainforest were completely replaced by grassland. The results are sobering. Surface temperatures would increase significantly. Evapotranspiration would decline dramatically. And most critically, rainfall would decrease, particularly during what would become a pronounced dry season. Without the moisture being constantly recycled back into the atmosphere, the climate would become much drier. So dry, in fact, that a humid tropical rainforest would be unable to reestablish itself, even if we wanted it to. The rainforest, in other words, maintains the conditions necessary for its own existence. Remove it, and those conditions disappear, potentially permanently. But rainforests influence more than just regional weather patterns. They play a crucial role in global climate regulation. Through photosynthesis, trees take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and use it to build their tissues, their wood, leaves, and roots. In this way, they act as carbon sinks, locking away carbon that might otherwise contribute to global warming. The Amazon rainforest stores something like 140 billion metric tons of carbon. To put that in perspective, if all that carbon were released into the atmosphere, it would be equivalent to roughly 140 years of all human-induced carbon emissions at current rates. Tropical forests as a whole store between 229 and 247 billion tons of carbon. They're responsible for approximately 25 to 30% of the world's oxygen turnover through photosynthesis, though it's important to note that they also consume oxygen through respiration. So their net oxygen contribution to the atmosphere is relatively small. The real value isn't in oxygen production, but in carbon storage and climate regulation. Rainforests also affect global climate through their influence on albedo, which is the reflectivity of Earth's surface. Dark surfaces like forests absorb more sunlight and thus heat up more than light surfaces like deserts or ice sheets. But rainforests don't just absorb heat. They use that energy to evaporate water, which carries heat high into the atmosphere where it's released when the water condenses into clouds. This process, combined with the formation of clouds themselves, which reflect sunlight back into space, creates a complex feedback system that helps regulate temperatures not just locally, but globally. The role of clouds is particularly fascinating. Rainforest trees don't just transpire water, They also release volatile organic compounds, chemicals that react in the atmosphere to form tiny particles. These particles serve as nucleation sites for water droplets, essentially seeding cloud formation. More clouds mean more reflection of incoming sunlight, which cools the surface. But clouds also trap heat radiating from the surface, warming it. The balance between these effects is delicate and still not fully understood. But what's clear is that rainforests are active participants in creating and maintaining the climate patterns we depend upon. There's even evidence that rainforests influence the stability of ocean currents and wind patterns. By regulating temperatures and moisture, they help maintain the circulation patterns that distribute heat and nutrients around the globe. The consequences of large-scale rainforest loss, then, extend far beyond the forests themselves. They ripple out across the entire planet, affecting weather patterns, sea levels, and ecosystems thousands of kilometers away. Ancient ecosystems and deep time. Stand in a rainforest, and you're standing in something ancient. Rainforests first appeared on Earth more than 100 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period when dinosaurs still ruled the planet. They've persisted through mass extinctions, through the rise and fall of countless species, through dramatic shifts in global climate. While glaciers advanced and retreated across temperate latitudes, wiping the slate clean again and again, rainforests endured in their tropical strongholds, evolving, diversifying, growing ever more complex. Temperate rainforests, found in places like the Pacific Northwest of North America, southern Chile, southeastern Australia, and scattered locations in Europe and Asia, are younger in comparison. They first began to form around 65 million years ago, at the start of the Cenozoic era, as the Earth's climate cooled and differentiated into distinct climatic zones. But even these younger rainforests have had tens of millions of years to develop their characteristic complexity. The trees themselves can live for extraordinary lengths of time. In undisturbed rainforest habitats, Brazil nut trees can live for 1,000 years or more. Some of the giant sequoias and redwoods in the temperate rainforests of North America are over 2,000 years old. These ancient trees are more than just individual organisms. They're ecosystems in their own right. A single old-growth tree might support thousands of other species. From the fungi in its roots, to the lichens on its bark, to the birds nesting in its crown. Its death, when it finally comes, will create a gap in the canopy that shapes the development of the forest for decades or centuries to come. The soil beneath rainforests, though often nutrient-poor, is ancient as well. In some areas, particularly in the Amazon, the soil dates back millions of years, weathered and leached by countless rainfalls. All the soluble nutrients that might once have been present have long since been washed away. What remains is heavily weathered clay, rich in irons and aluminum oxides that give it a characteristic reddish color. This is why the rapid cycling of nutrients is so crucial. The forest can't afford to let nutrients sit in the soil where they might be leached away by the next rainfall. They must be immediately reabsorbed and locked back into living tissue. There's a paradox here that puzzled scientists for many years. How can the most productive ecosystems on Earth grow on some of the poorest soils? The answer lies in the efficiency of the system. In a temperate forest, nutrients can afford to accumulate in the soil. The cold winters slow decomposition, allowing organic matter to build up in a rich humus layer. But in a rainforest, the warmth and moisture that allow plants to grow year-round also accelerate decomposition to an incredible degree. Everything that falls to the forest floor, leaves, branches, dead animals, is quickly broken down by bacteria, fungi, termites, and countless other decomposers. The nutrients released are immediately taken up by the shallow, spreading root systems of trees and other plants, or by the mycorrhizal fungi partnered with those roots. This creates a system where almost all the nutrients are locked up in living biomass rather than in the soil. Cut down a rainforest, and you're not revealing rich agricultural land beneath. You're exposing poor, easily eroded soil that, without the forest to maintain it, can support crops for only a few years before becoming exhausted. This is one of the great tragedies of rainforest agriculture. Farmers clear the forest, often using slash-and-burn techniques that release the nutrients stored in trees as ash. The ash provides a temporary fertilization boost, and crops grow well for 2 or 3 years. But then the nutrients are depleted, erosion sets in, and the land becomes unproductive. The farmer must then clear a new patch of forest, leaving degraded land behind. The forest that maintained its fertility for millions of years through careful cycling of nutrients cannot recover once that cycle is broken. In some places, you can find hints of human history in the rainforest soil. In the Amazon, there are patches of dark, highly fertile soil called terra preta, or black earth. These soils were created by indigenous peoples hundreds or thousands of years ago through a combination of charcoal from fires, broken pottery, and organic waste. Unlike normal rainforest soil, terra preta can sustain agriculture for years without fertilizer. It's a testament to the knowledge these ancient peoples had of their environment. Modern scientists are still working to understand exactly how terra preta was created and maintained, hoping to unlock techniques that could help us sustainably manage tropical soils. The deep time of rainforests is written not just in the soil but in the species themselves. Some groups of organisms, like certain families of frogs or beetles, have been evolving in rainforests for tens of millions of years, diversifying into thousands of species, each one adapted to a specific niche. When you look at a poison dart frog, brilliant blue and small enough to sit on your fingertip, you're looking at the product of millions of years of evolution, of chemical arms races between frogs and the insects they eat, of coevolution with the plants that provide their habitat. The frog is not just an animal, it's a living archive of evolutionary history. The hidden connections. The more we study rainforests, the more we discover that what appears to be a collection of individual organisms competing for survival is actually an intricate web of cooperation, interdependence, and symbiosis. The connections run so deep that it's sometimes difficult to say where one organism ends and another begins. We've already mentioned mycorrhizal fungi, but it's worth diving deeper into just how remarkable these relationships are. The fungi form structures that look like fine white threads called hyphae, which penetrate the soil and even the root cells of the plants. These hyphae have an enormous surface area, far greater than the roots alone could achieve. Through them, the fungi can access nutrients, particularly phosphorus and nitrogen, that would be unavailable to the plant. The fungi can even break down organic matter and mine nutrients from rocks. In exchange, the plant provides the fungi with up to 30% of the sugars it produces through photosynthesis. But the relationship goes beyond simple exchange. The mycorrhizal networks create what ecologists call common mycorrhizal networks that connect multiple plants, often of different species. Through these networks, resources can flow. A tree growing in a sunny spot might transfer excess sugars through the network to smaller trees growing in its shadow. This isn't altruism in any human sense, but it does benefit the larger tree by maintaining a healthier overall forest, which in turn provides habitat for pollinators, seed dispersers, and other species the tree depends on. Some trees even appear to recognize their offspring through chemical signals traveling through the mycorrhizal network and preferentially transfer resources to them. When a tree is attacked by insects, it can send chemical warning signals through the network, and neighboring trees respond by ramping up production of defensive compounds. The forest, in a very real sense, acts as a single interconnected organism. Pollination relationships in rainforests have evolved to levels of complexity that seem almost unbelievable. We've already mentioned fig wasps, but they're just one example. There are orchids that look and smell exactly like female bees, tricking male bees into attempting to mate with them and getting covered in pollen in the process. There are flowers that bloom for only a single night, pollinated by specific species of bats that time their foraging to coincide with the blooming. There are flowers that generate heat to volatilize their scent, helping to attract pollinators in the competitive marketplace of the canopy. The bucket orchid of Central and South America has evolved one of the most elaborate pollination mechanisms known. The flower produces a slippery, waxy substance and a powerful fragrance. Male euglossine bees are attracted to this fragrance, which they collect and use in their own mating displays. But the waxy surface is treacherous, and bees often slip and fall into a bucket-shaped structure in the flower that's partially filled with liquid. There's only one way out, a narrow tunnel that the bee must squeeze through. As it does so, pollen packets are glued to its back. When the bee visits another bucket orchid and falls in again, the tunnel is positioned perfectly to remove the pollen and pollinate the flower. The whole process takes about 45 minutes, and the bee must dry its wings before it can fly again. It's a complex, time-consuming ordeal for the bee, but the reward of fragrance compounds keeps them coming back. Seed dispersal in rainforests is equally fascinating. Many rainforest trees produce large, nutritious fruits specifically to attract animals that will eat the fruit and disperse the seeds. The seeds themselves are often designed to pass through the animal's digestive system unharmed, sometimes even requiring the chemical treatment they receive in the gut to germinate properly. Some seeds won't germinate at all unless they've been processed by a specific species of animal. The agouti, a large rodent found in Central and South American rainforests, has a particularly interesting relationship with Brazil nut trees. The Brazil nut fruit is a large, hard capsule that falls to the forest floor. Few animals can open it. The agouti, with its strong teeth, can crack it open to eat the seeds inside. But agoutis don't eat all the seeds immediately. They bury some of them to eat later, much like squirrels catching acorns. Not all of these caches are recovered, and the seeds that are left behind can germinate and grow into new trees. The Brazil nut tree depends on the agouti for seed dispersal. Without agoutis, Brazil nut regeneration plummets. But there's another layer to this relationship. The Brazil nut tree has its own pollinator dependency. It's pollinated exclusively by a specific group of large-bodied bees that are strong enough to lift the heavy hood covering the flower's reproductive parts. These bees, in turn, depend on certain orchids for nest-building materials and on other rainforest plants for food. The survival of the Brazil nut tree, then, depends not just on agoutis and bees, but on the complex web of relationships that support those species. Disrupt any part of this web, and the whole thing can unravel. Predator-prey relationships in rainforests have driven some of the most extreme adaptations in nature. Leaf insects that look exactly like leaves, complete with veins and ragged edges that mimic insect damage. Stick insects that remain motionless for hours, indistinguishable from the twigs they rest on. Katydids that look like dead, curled leaves. The selective pressure to avoid being eaten has created a dazzling array of mimicry and camouflage. But predators have evolved as well. The eyelash viper, a small snake found in Central and South America, comes in a variety of colors, from bright yellow to deep red to mottled green. Each color morph provides camouflage in different situations. The yellow form disappears against clusters of bananas or yellow flowers. The green form vanishes in foliage. The snake waits, motionless, sometimes for days, until prey comes within striking distance. Its heat-sensing pits allow it to detect warm-blooded prey even in complete darkness. It's a patient, highly effective predator, and its success depends on its ability to remain unseen. Some of the most remarkable relationships in rainforests involve multiple species in complex partnerships. Leafcutter ants cut pieces of leaves and carry them back to their underground nests. But they don't eat the leaves. Instead, they chew them into a pulp and use this pulp to cultivate fungus gardens. The ants eat the fungus, and the fungus benefits from the constant supply of fresh leaf material and protection from competitors. But there's more. The ants carry a species of bacteria on their bodies, and this bacteria produces antibiotics that suppress a specific parasitic fungus that attacks the food fungus. So we have ants, farming fungus protected by bacteria, all dependent on each other in a relationship that has been evolving for millions of years. It's agriculture, animal husbandry, and pharmaceutical production, all rolled into one. And it predates human civilization by tens of millions of years. Tropical and temperate, a tale of two rainforests. While tropical rainforests get most of the attention, they're not the only rainforests on Earth. Temperate rainforests, though covering far less area, are equally remarkable and play crucial roles in their respective ecosystems. Temperate rainforests occur in specific locations where conditions are just right. high rainfall, moderate temperatures, and usually proximity to large bodies of water that moderate seasonal extremes. The largest temperate rainforests stretch along the Pacific coast of North America, from Northern California through British Columbia and into Alaska. Other significant temperate rainforests exist in southern Chile, southeastern Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, and in scattered locations in Norway, Scotland, and Japan. Compared to their tropical cousins, temperate rainforests are quieter, calmer places. The constant background roar of insects that characterizes tropical rainforests is absent. Temperatures are cooler, though still mild, rarely dropping below freezing even in winter. The trees are different too. In North America's temperate rainforests, conifers dominate. Douglas firs, Sitka spruces, western red cedars, and the magnificent coast redwoods and giant sequoias. These trees grow to astounding sizes. Coast redwoods can exceed 100 meters in height, making them the tallest trees on Earth. Giant sequoias, though shorter, have greater mass, with some individuals containing enough wood to build dozens of houses. The biodiversity of temperate rainforests is lower than in tropical rainforests, but they have their own remarkable characteristics. The trees themselves are among the oldest and largest organisms on the planet. Some are over 2,000 years old, meaning they were saplings when Rome was at its height, standing tall before the European discovery of the Americas. These ancient giants have survived countless storms, fires, and natural disturbances. They're monuments to the power of persistence. Temperate rainforests are incredibly productive in terms of biomass. While they don't have the species diversity of tropical rainforests, they store enormous amounts of carbon in their massive trees and in the thick layer of organic matter on the forest floor. In fact, intact temperate rainforests have higher carbon density than intact forests in other latitudes. Some temperate rainforests in Australia have the highest known carbon density in the world, storing over 1,000 metric tons of carbon per hectare. This makes them crucial for climate regulation, even though they cover less than 1% of Earth's land surface. The understory of temperate rainforests is often carpeted with ferns, mosses, and lichens. The constant moisture and moderate temperatures create perfect conditions for these plants. Some individual moss colonies are hundreds of years old, growing so slowly that they measure their expansion in millimeters per year. Lichens, those remarkable symbiotic partnerships between fungi and algae or cyanobacteria, festoon every available surface, hanging from branches in long, hair-like curtains or forming colorful crusts on bark and rocks. The animals of temperate rainforests are different from those of tropical rainforests, adapted to cooler temperatures and more seasonal patterns of food availability. In North America's temperate rainforests, you might encounter blacket, bears, Roosevelt elk, mountain lions, and countless species of salamanders. The Pacific Northwest is sometimes called the salamander capital of the world, with species richness exceeding even tropical rainforests in some locations. These amphibians thrive in the constant moisture, and many species spend their entire lives in the forest canopy, living in water-filled hollows in trees and never descending to the ground. Birds like spotted owls and marbled murrelets depend on old-growth temperate rainforests for nesting habitat. The marbled murrelet is particularly fascinating. It's a seabird that feeds in the ocean but nests on broad limbs high in old-growth trees, sometimes 30 kilometers or more from the coast. No one knew where these birds nested until 1974, when a tree climber happened to discover a chick sitting on a branch 50 meters up in a Douglas fir. The bird's dependence on old-growth forest makes it extremely vulnerable to logging. Salmon play a crucial role in temperate rainforest ecosystems, creating a remarkable connection between ocean and forest. Salmon are born in freshwater streams, migrate to the ocean where they grow and feed for several years, then return to their birth streams to spawn and die. When they do, their bodies become a massive influx of nutrients to the forest. Bears catch salmon and drag them into the forest to eat. The remains fertilize the soil. Research has shown that trees near salmon streams grow faster and larger than trees further from water, nourished by nutrients that originated in the ocean and were delivered by salmon. Nitrogen isotopes from the ocean have been found in trees, bears, insects, and even in the tissues of mosses, proof of how interconnected these systems truly are. Both tropical and temperate rainforests face similar threats, despite their differences. In both cases, old-growth forests, those that have never been logged and contain the largest, oldest trees, are increasingly rare. In many places, less than 1% of old-growth forest remains. What exists now are often second-growth forests, recovering from past logging, but lacking the structural complexity and biodiversity of truly ancient forests. The loss of old-growth forests means the loss of unique habitat. Many species, adapted to the conditions found only in old forests, cannot survive in younger forests. The complex canopy structure, the presence of massive dead trees standing or fallen, the deep accumulations of woody debris on the forest floor, these are all features that take centuries to develop and cannot be replicated by planting new trees. The fragile balance under threat. The statistics are sobering. Every hour, Earth loses approximately 6,000 acres of rainforest to deforestation. That's roughly 4,000 football fields every single hour, day after day, year after year. Since 1950, we've destroyed nearly half of the world's original forest cover. The rate of loss has accelerated in recent decades. In 2010 alone, the world lost 15.8 million hectares of tropical forests. The Amazon lost over 3,800 square miles of forest from August 2018 to July 2019, the highest rate of deforestation in that region in a decade. The primary driver of deforestation has shifted over time. In the past, it was mostly subsistence agriculture, small-scale farmers clearing land to grow crops for their families. Today, industrial agriculture is the dominant cause. Vast areas of rainforest are cleared for cattle ranching, for soy plantations, for palm oil cultivation. These crops are grown not to feed local populations, but for export to global markets. The beef you might buy at a supermarket, the packaged foods containing palm oil or soy, these might carry the hidden cost of rainforest destruction. Logging, both legal and illegal, contributes significantly to forest degradation. Even selective logging, where only certain valuable trees are removed, can have cascading effects on the ecosystem. The removal of large, old trees opens the canopy, changing light levels below. Roads built to access logging sites fragment the forest and provide access for poachers and additional settlers. The damage extends far beyond the trees actually cut down. Mining operations, often for gold but also for other minerals, cause both direct destruction and insidious pollution. Gold mining in the Amazon has contaminated rivers with mercury, poisoning fish and the people who depend on them. The toxic legacy of mining persists long after the miners have moved on. Climate change adds another layer of threat, potentially pushing rainforests past tipping points from which they cannot recover. As global temperatures rise, rainforests experience more frequent and severe droughts. Trees that evolved in constantly moist conditions are not adapted to prolonged dry periods. They become stressed, more vulnerable to disease and insect attack. In severe droughts, trees die in large numbers. Dead trees release their stored carbon back into the atmosphere, accelerating climate change in a vicious feedback loop. Rising temperatures also affect rainfall patterns. Computer models suggest that if global warming continues unchecked, the Amazon could see rainfall decrease by 20% or more. This would push the forest toward a tipping point. Beyond a certain threshold of deforestation and warming, the Amazon might no longer be able to maintain its own water cycle. The forest could transition to savanna, a transformation that would release vast amounts of carbon and potentially trigger regional and global climate disruptions. The loss of rainforest has immediate effects on biodiversity. An estimated 1 million species are currently facing extinction, with the rate of extinction accelerating dramatically over the past 40 years. In the rainforest, species are lost before we even know they existed. Every year, scientists describe new species from rainforests. Species that have likely existed for millions of years, but are only now being discovered. But for every species described, how many disappear before we find them? Habitat fragmentation is particularly devastating. When rainforest is cleared, what often remains are isolated fragments surrounded by agricultural land or degraded habitat. These fragments face multiple problems. They have more edge habitat, where conditions are different from the forest interior. Wind and sunlight penetrate deeper into the forest, drying it out and altering the microclimate. Generalist species from the surrounding disturbed areas invade, competing with forest specialists. Large predators disappear because fragments are too small to support their territories. Studies of fragmented forests have revealed a consistent and troubling pattern. Over time, even relatively large fragments lose species. Ground-dwelling species, those that require continuous forest cover, are particularly vulnerable. But even canopy species decline as the overall health of the forest deteriorates. Small fragments lose species faster than large ones, but all fragments lose biodiversity over time, unless they're connected to larger forest areas by corridors. The loss of certain keystone species can trigger cascading extinctions. Army ants, for example, require large areas of a continuous forest to maintain their foraging behavior. When they disappear from forest fragments, all the species that depend on them, the birds that follow their raids, the butterflies that feed on bird droppings, the mites that parasitize fleeing insects, also disappear. One extinction leads to another in a domino effect that can reshape the entire ecosystem. Indigenous peoples who have lived in rainforests for thousands of years are also under threat. Deforestation often occurs on indigenous lands, despite legal protections. Indigenous peoples are driven from their homes, their traditional knowledge is lost, and the cultures that developed in harmony with the rainforest disappear. This is not just a human tragedy, but an ecological one as well. Indigenous managed forests typically have much higher biodiversity and forest cover than surrounding areas. The traditional ecological knowledge of indigenous peoples accumulated over thousands of years is being lost just when we need it most. Yet there are glimmers of hope. Protected areas, when properly enforced, do preserve rainforest. Some countries have made significant progress in reducing deforestation rates through a combination of protected areas, enforcement of laws, and economic incentives for forest conservation. The global RUD-D+ program, reducing emissions from deforestation and degradation, provides financial incentives for countries to protect their forests, recognizing the value of forests for carbon storage and climate regulation. Restoration efforts are underway in many areas. Degraded lands are being reforested, sometimes with impressive results. In Costa Rica, which saw massive deforestation in the mid-20th century, forests are now recovering as the country has prioritized conservation and ecosystem restoration. Secondary forests are growing on previously cleared land. While these don't have the complexity and biodiversity of old-growth forests, they do provide habitat, store carbon, and help maintain ecosystem services. The challenge is one of scale and speed. Restoration and conservation are happening, but not fast enough or at a large enough scale to offset ongoing losses. The clock is ticking. Some changes, once they occur, may be irreversible on human timescales. The transition of Amazon rainforest to savanna, if it happens, cannot be easily undone. The extinction of species is permanent. Medicines, resources, and human connections. When we think about the value of rainforests, we often focus on their ecological importance, their role in climate regulation, their biodiversity. But rainforests have direct, tangible value to human life in ways that are sometimes overlooked. The pharmaceutical industry has barely scratched the surface of rainforest biodiversity. Over 60% of anti-cancer drugs originate from natural sources, many from rainforest plants. The rosy periwinkle, a plant from the rainforests of Madagascar, has given us vinblastine and vincristine, drugs used to treat leukemia and Hodgkin's lymphoma. These drugs have saved countless lives, increasing the survival rate for childhood leukemia from 10% to 90%. The curare vine, used by indigenous peoples in South America to poison blow darts, has given us tubocararine, a muscle relaxant used in surgery. Quinine, derived from the bark of the cinchona tree, was the first effective treatment for malaria and saved millions of lives before synthetic alternatives were developed. The list goes on. Heart drugs from rainforest plants, painkillers, compounds that treat diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, and countless other conditions. But we've only tested about 1% of rainforest plants for medicinal properties. The remaining 99% are largely unstudied. Among them might be treatments or cures for diseases that currently have none. Cancer, Alzheimer's, antibiotic-resistant bacterial infections. These might all have solutions hidden in the chemistry of rainforest organisms. Every species that goes extinct takes with it millions of years of evolutionary experimentation, chemical compounds that might have changed human medicine. Indigenous peoples have been using rainforest plants for medicine for thousands of years. Their traditional knowledge represents an invaluable repository of information. When ethnobotanists work with indigenous communities, they often find plants with genuine medicinal properties. The challenge is documenting this knowledge before it's lost and doing so in a way that respects indigenous rights and ensures that communities benefit from any commercial applications of the archaic traditional knowledge. Beyond medicine, rainforests provide numerous other resources. Natural rubber comes from the latex of rubber trees growing in rainforests. Brazil nuts, one of the few wild harvested tree nuts in commercial production, come exclusively from rainforest trees that have resisted all attempts at plantation cultivation. Coffee, chocolate, numerous spices, and countless other products originate in rainforests. Wood from rainforest trees has been prized for centuries for its beauty and durability. Mahogany, teak, ebony, and other tropical hardwoods have been harvested intensively, driving many species toward extinction in the wild. The problem is not wood use itself, but the unsustainable way it's often harvested. Clear-cutting destroys ecosystems and, in the case of tropical hardwoods, removes trees that might be hundreds of years old and will take centuries to replace, if they can be replaced at all. There's potential for sustainable harvest of rainforest resources, but it requires a fundamentally different approach. Instead of clear-cutting for cattle pasture or soy plantations, we could harvest products like Brazil nuts, acai fruit, sustainably logged timber, and medicinal plants in ways that maintain the forest structure. Research has shown that the long-term economic value of sustainable harvest often exceeds the short-term value of clearing the land. But this requires patience, planning, and economic systems that value long-term sustainability over short-term profit. The ecosystem services provided by rainforests, benefits they provide to humans without being harvested, are enormous in value but difficult to quantify in monetary terms. Rainforests regulate climate, maintain the water cycle, prevent erosion, provide habitat for pollinators that are essential for agriculture, and offer opportunities for recreation and scientific research. Some economists have attempted to calculate the total value of these services and arrived at figures in the hundreds of billions of dollars per year. Yet because these services are not bought and sold in traditional markets, they're often ignored in economic decision-making. The aesthetic and spiritual value of rainforests is impossible to quantify but undeniably real. These are places of overwhelming beauty, of mystery, of life in its most exuberant forms. They inspire art, literature, and scientific curiosity. For the indigenous peoples who call them home, rainforests are not just resources, but the center of their cultural and spiritual lives. The loss of these forests is not just an ecological catastrophe, but a cultural and spiritual one as well. Hope and conservation. Despite the grim statistics and the urgent threats, there are reasons for hope. Around the world, people are working to protect and restore rainforests. Some approaches focus on establishing protected areas, national parks, and reserves where logging and development are restricted or prohibited. When these protected areas are properly enforced, they work. Studies show that well-managed protected areas maintain their forest cover and biodiversity even while surrounding areas are degraded. The challenge with protected areas is enforcement. It's not enough to draw boundaries on a map. Someone must patrol those boundaries, prevent illegal logging and poaching, work with local communities to ensure their needs are met. This requires funding, political will, and cooperation from local populations. In many cases, conservation works best when local communities are involved in management and benefit directly from conservation, whether through ecotourism, payments for ecosystem services, or sustainable harvest of forest products. Indigenous territories, when their land rights are recognized and protected, often have better conservation outcomes than official protected areas. Indigenous peoples have strong incentives to maintain their forests and possess traditional knowledge of sustainable management practices. Research has consistently shown that forests under indigenous management have lower deforestation rates and higher biodiversity than comparable areas under other management regimes. Restoration of degraded lands offers another path forward. While restored forests will never fully replace old-growth forests lost, they can provide habitat, sequester carbon, and help maintain ecosystem functions. Natural regeneration, allowing forests to regrow on their own, is often more effective and cost-efficient than tree planting, though both approaches have their place. In some cases, assisted regeneration, where foresters remove invasive species or plant certain key species to jumpstart succession, produces the best results. The science of restoration is advancing rapidly. We're learning which combinations of species work best, how to accelerate succession, how to recreate some of the structural complexity of old-growth forests in shorter time frames. There are now projects attempting to restore entire landscapes, connecting fragments of remaining forest through corridors, allowing animals to move and genes to flow between populations. Economic approaches to conservation are evolving as well. Carbon offset programs pay landowners to maintain or restore forests, recognizing the value of carbon sequestration. Some companies are committing to zero deforestation supply chains, refusing to purchase products sourced from recently deforested areas. Consumer pressure has driven some changes in corporate behavior, though much more is needed. Education and awareness are crucial. Many people simply don't realize the extent of rainforest loss or understand why it matters. By raising awareness, by helping people understand the connections between their daily choices and the health of distant forests, we can build political will for stronger conservation measures. Technology is providing new tools for conservation. Satellite imagery allows us to monitor deforestation in near real time, identifying illegal logging, operations, and tracking forest health. Drones equipped with cameras and sensors can survey areas that would be difficult to reach on foot. Environmental DNA techniques allow scientists to catalog biodiversity by sampling water or soil, detecting the genetic signatures of species without having to observe them directly. Perhaps most importantly, there's a growing recognition that we can't separate human well-being from ecosystem health. The same forces that destroy rainforests drive climate change, species extinction, and human poverty. Addressing these challenges requires integrated approaches that recognize the interdependence of ecological and social systems. We need economic development that works with nature rather than against it, that values long-term sustainability over short-term extraction, that recognizes the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities, and that preserves the natural capital upon which all human well-being ultimately depends. The task ahead is enormous. We need to halt deforestation, restore degraded lands, address climate change, lift people out of poverty, and do all of this fast enough to prevent irreversible tipping points. It will require cooperation on a global scale, unprecedented shifts in how we organize our economies and value nature, and a fundamental reimagining of humanity's relationship with the living world. But if there's one thing rainforests teach us, it's the power of interconnection and resilience. These ecosystems have persisted for hundreds of millions of years through cataclysmic changes. They've recovered from mass extinctions and climate shifts. They have an astonishing capacity for regeneration when given the chance. The question is whether we'll give them that chance, whether we'll recognize their value in time, whether we'll choose to be part of the web of life rather than its unraveler. The forest at rest. And so we come to the end of our gentle walk through the rainforests of the world. We've climbed from the shadowed forest floor up through the layered canopy to the sunlit crowns of the emergent trees. We've explored the incredible biodiversity of these places, the intricate connections between species, the crucial roles rainforests play in regulating our planet's climate and water cycles. We've journeyed through deep time, seeing how these ancient ecosystems have persisted and evolved over hundreds of millions of years. We've examined both the tropical and temperate varieties of rainforest, each remarkable in its own way. We've confronted the urgent threats these forests face and the cascading consequences of their loss. And we've glimpsed the medicines, resources, and knowledge these forests hold, much of it still undiscovered. Finally, we've seen that despite the challenges, there is hope. There are people working every hoe to protect and restore these irreplaceable ecosystems. You are connected to these forests, even if you never visit one. The oxygen you breathe, the water that falls as rain, the climate that makes life possible, the medicines that keep you healthy, all are influenced by rainforests. The choices you make, what you buy, what you eat, how you use resources, ripple out across the world and touch these distant forests. You are part of the web, part of the breathing, living system that is our planet. Tonight, as you rest, somewhere a rainforest breathes. Trees transpire moisture into the air. Clouds form and drift. Rain falls on endless green. Fungi spread their networks through the soil. A jaguar pads silently through the undergrowth. Orchids bloom in the canopy, their fragrance drifting through the humid air. Seeds germinate. Old trees die and fall, creating gaps that pulse with new life. The cycles continue, the ancient rhythms persist, the forest endures. Rest now. Dream of green light filtering through leaves, of rain on broad leaves and moss on ancient bark, of life in its endless, exuberant variety, of connections that run deeper than roots and broader than the sky. You are part of this story, this living, breathing story of a planet clothed in forests, abundant with life. If these explorations have helped you unwind tonight, consider subscribing to continue these journeys into the quiet wonders of our world. There are many more stories to tell, many more places to explore together. Sleep well, dream softly, and remember that somewhere in the world, a forest breathes, ancient and alive, waiting for the dawn.